Okay, everyone, we have a rather intriguing topic today. It's unnecessary shame and guilt that some people have regarding sex, and this, I'm joined today by Gabrielle Rutten, MD, who has some really important things to say. I'm going to sort of set it off with a little intro to begin with, but then we're going to have this conversation. And there's a lot of people that don't enjoy or participate in sex because of shame, guilt, and stuff like that. You would agree with that, would you, Gabrielle?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, it's a big problem.
Yeah, I see it with some frequency, with people that I've dealt with over time. Well, it happened with both men and women. Women primarily. Would that be true with you?
Yes, both, but more women than men. Yes.
Yeah.
But I see it in both.
So let me just talk a little bit about the foundation of the problem, at least the way I see it, and then you and I can kick this around and we can look at ways to deal with it. It really isn't necessary. It's a kind of thing it's an emotional block for many people. You would agree with that one?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Okay. So take care of the emotional block, and a few good things may happen around this planet that aren't currently happening. Okay. So anyway, this is the kind of thing that happens, and we'll take the young woman for an example. At some early age, a woman, a girl, is molested in some fashion. She might even be raped and penetrated. But maybe she's just molested, fondled, perhaps, kissed. But things that are romantic in a way that at one level, the young lady, young man too, but young lady, gets confused about it. Like all young children, she's looking for love. She's looking for attention. And some male, a father perhaps, an uncle, a trusted person, a priest, somebody makes these kind of advances, and sexually speaking, we're addressing her pleasure zones. She's young, she doesn't know that much about them, feels good in some fashion, perhaps, okay, and she also confuses that with attention and love, and so goes along with it partly because she likes it. But on the other hand, she's going, no, something's wrong here, and so she's in conflict, and then that develops over time into all kinds of different things that people do with these experiences, conclusions they make about it. They make conclusions about themselves. I'm bad, for example. Or I'm oversexed, or something's wrong with me, or things of that nature. And until they get resolved, it gets in the way of, good, healthy, romantic interchanges, sexual interchanges, and so on. And so therein, and that's kind of a simplification, Gabrielle, but therein lies the fundamental issue. Does that fit with what you're talking about, or would you add something to it, or tell me?
Yes. So particularly if the experience in a young age, be that a boy or a girl, the body is wired to react to any kind of stimulation, also sexual stimulation. So I've come across quite a few clients that, in hindsight, looking back at what happened, the moment they realized that it wasn't okay to have an experience like that at this age. Obviously, if the abuse is aggressive, they already know there's something wrong. But there's also quite a few clients that I've had that weren't aware that it was, totally wrong, although they were told that they shouldn't discuss it with anybody, etc. But the moment they realize that this is a strange situation, in hindsight, I've come across quite a few clients that in hindsight feel a lot of shame and guilt because their bodies reacted.
Yeah,
And that's just
it's a pleasure zone thing. It feels good, and that comes with the package. Okay, when you're born,
yes,
there it is. Okay.
Well, that's just a sign that your body was correctly wired, so to speak. And so they might have enjoyed it, or they might not have enjoyed it because they were just really confused about what was happening. But in hindsight, there's still shame and guilt and confusion in the sense that they think that because their bodies reacted, they must have asked for it, or they must have, wanted it, or whatever else, which obviously is not the case. And so this needs attention, because that's it really is a misunderstanding. You're not reacting because you somehow in a distorted way you are enjoying what is happening. It's just the way the body is wired, so there's a reaction. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and just on the other side of it, there are some people, because of its aggressive nature and so on, didn't really enjoy it. It was actually painful.
Of course.
It hurt.
Of course.
They didn't want it.
Of course.
They resent it and all of that. But there's this whole wide rainbow of possibilities.
Of course.
Go on
yes.
Here. Okay.
Yes.
But
yes.
What you're talking about is among those possibilities, and I've seen this a lot. There really was pleasure in it. Give me some more, and that's the body speaking.
Yes. Yes, because if it's just aggressive and painful and whatever else, they might still have, the perpetrator might still have been telling them, oh, but you like this and you want this and you're asking for this, whatever else. But I'm talking about the situation where the body did react because it was more gentle or whatever the situation was. And then in hindsight, they think, I must have wanted it or something. No. It's still an experience that you should not have had to go through at that age, but your body was just, biologically responding to what was happening. So I hope that, talking frankly about this, that people realize it's not something you have to be ashamed of or feel guilty about, but you do have to work on these situations to clear out these, the misunderstandings and the erroneous conclusions you come to, like I don't deserve sex, or I'm a bad person, or I asked for it, or whatever it is that they think.
I've had some that even thought, they concluded because of all of this, they were causing it. They were seductive in the whole circle. Whether or not that was true, that was their conclusion about all this. But one thing I want to bring up, because this is important to how we resolve all of this, is not only does and you tell me if this fits in your own experience, Gabrielle, not only does the client, the victim, if you will, to use this term, confused about this. She doesn't know how to handle it, and she keeps getting input from the world around her. Oh, this is a bad thing. This shouldn't happen. The church may have things to say about this. Other family members may have things to say about this. Things about this kind of thing was talked about in school. Okay. Or it's a hush hush thing. Don't ever talk about this. Don't ever talk about this. Kind of thing. It's got this "you're bad" thing to it, and that's the natural conclusion. So what we want to do to resolve this is take those inputs. We can start here anyway. Take those inputs. If you do this, you are bad. If you do this, you don't deserve. If you do this, you are guilty. And so on. And keep your big secret always, always. These are all specific events, which we talk a lot about in our advanced course. And they have emotions attached to them. And here's where the unseen therapist comes in beautifully if we lay it out on the table with enough specificity And we can start taking all this guilt and we go, instead of I'm guilty,
No.
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So what, kind of thing. Okay.
Yes.
So anyway, that's just my little thing in there. Give me your experience with that, would you?
Yeah. So if you want to resolve these kinds of experiences, now obviously we're zooming in onto feeling, guilt and shame because there was a reaction that you didn't understand back then, and now think, well, I must have, etc. But working specifically, so the experiences themselves, just one at a time, and also the moments where somebody else, made a remark and caused you to think, I'm a bad person because I liked it, or I should have, etc. So work on the very specific moments, do the meditation, ask unseen therapist, and just ask her also to allow yourself to hear this explanation and realize that you did nothing wrong. It's very important to understand that if you're a minor and there's an adult involved or somebody who is at least older than you are, they are responsible. You are not, never ever. So ask unseen therapists to help you realize that when you're a child, it's not your fault. It's you're not initiating this, etc., etc. And then do not forget to also look at more recent situations where the same guilt or shame is just triggered because you are reminded of whatever you heard or whatever you were feeling back then, or heard other people say about this. The whole thing you need to work on.
Along those lines, just earlier today, I was speaking with a lady, married lady, who considers it a mistake that when she was 48 years old, I don't know how old she is now, 60 or 70 or thereabouts, but happily married to a man who adores her and all of this. But at age 48, she got herself involved in an affair. And she looks back at it, shouldn't have done it, wouldn't do it today, but did it back then. Right? And carrying around all kinds of guilt about it. And ever since then even though Mother Nature may tap her on the shoulder and the hormones may run, okay, and she may have a active sex drive, she doesn't feel deserving of the pleasure, deserving of the experience because of what she did with this affair some time in the past. Now, some people think, well, that's how you're going to resolve that. She did this in the past, and her church said she shouldn't, and society says she shouldn't. She's a bad person. Da, 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 da. They don't realize that unseen therapists, properly done, can come in and she's not excusing the behavior, just taking the sting out of it. It's a past thing. It doesn't need to interrupt marriage pleasures currently. But in this case, it was anyway. But you can do that with unseen therapists. You can lay this out on the table nicely, hand the emotional response, the I don't deserve response to unseen therapist, and end up with being, well, of course I can deserve it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I made a mistake, but it was a mistake, and everybody makes mistakes, including just about everybody listening here has made some mistakes. You got your own secrets.
Yes.
By the way, we're not going to ask you to talk about it, but they may or may not be sexual. Okay. But in some cases, even thinking, gee, wouldn't an affair with so-and-so, be, that might be nice, even thinking it, these are human things. All this stuff comes with the package, and it can be unloaded beautifully. I'll shut up. Go ahead. Gabrielle.
No, I was just gonna give another example. This is about a male client of mine who was molested by an aunt when he was a little boy. She would, stimulate him until he had an erection and would come. And as a little boy, that was totally confusing and really awkward because I think, if I remember correctly, he was like 9 or 10, youngish. This was a grown-up woman. From that experience, he was never comfortable if his lady friends would want to touch him and stimulate him and do whatever they felt like doing. So we worked on this with the unseen therapist, and just, first of all, it was a relief for him to be able to discuss it with me, just to explain what happened and why it was such a weird experience for him. And it was a relief for him to hear that if the body is stimulated in the right way, it will respond. So that's not you doing something strange and extraordinary. That's just how it works. That was a major relief for him. And then obviously we also worked on experiences where he's completely uncomfortable when women, get active and want to do stuff. And we asked unseen therapist, and she stepped in, and big relief. And he emailed me the other day saying that he had a lovely lady friend and that they were really enjoying sex. And he really now enjoys when she's active and wants to stimulate him. Mm-hmm. And so that was a very nice result, I should say.
Well, you're calling it relief, correct? Yes. I also use the word, there's a freedom involved that wasn't there before. There's just certainly, there's a freedom. Your body is knocking on your door. It was designed to do that, okay? And it's saying it's your turn, okay? Knock. And to go through all these other mental gymnastics about how bad it is or whatever that got implanted some time ago.
That needs to go.
It's got you in jail, if you will, in a form of jail.
Yes.
And this is freedom.
Absolutely.
Freedom. Okay. Well, I think we pretty much done. You got anything else you want to say on this topic, Gabrielle?
No, I think we're good. Yeah.
All right. Great. Okay. Well, I thank the audience for listening in. We hope you got quite a bit out of this. Okay. So we'll see you next time.